95.3 WBCK now presents Coach's Corner, live from Lakeview Ford. For over 6 decades, this has been your number one source for all local sports information. Coach's Corner is proudly presented by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now, here's your host, Bill Broderick.
This is Bill Broderick, sports editor of the Battle Creek Enquirer, in the big chair once again on WBCK for another edition of Coach's Corner, coming to you from downtown Battle Creek at Lakeview Ford on the Motor Mile. For more than 6 decades, Coach's Corner has been talking to the high school coaches about the week in sports, and we will continue to do that as we talk about the season with our first coach of the morning. But first, here's our Lakeview Ford Coach's Corner scoreboard. Last night, there were 2 playoff games in the area. The rest of the city teams were out before this, and in the area in Division 6, Constantine beat Olivet 38-24, and in Division 7, Hudson beat Union City 30-7. So for the Battle Creek area, that is it for our high school football season. All our teams have been knocked out here in the second round. And so that means this will be the final football Coach's Corner of the season. We will be off next week, and then we'll be doing boys basketball in 2 weeks. But we will be back with our first Coach of the morning after this on WBCK 95.3 FM.
95.3 WBCK.
Hi, this is Brad Carpenter. Next week, Coach's Corner will be taking a one-day break. As a result, Bob Coward and myself will be filling in for 1 hour. We'll be talking gardening, taxes, and whatever else crosses our minds. So be sure to tune in next week at 9 a.m. for the Cereal City Circus, hosted by Bob Coward and myself. As a bonus, we'll be doing it again on November 30th. That's the Cereal City Circus with me and Bob Coward next Saturday at 9 a.m. And again on November 30th, right here on 95.3 WBCK.
Tom. Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Enquirer back here on Coach's Corner. This week will be a special Coach's Corner. We'll be talking to the sub-varsity football programs of all the city teams for the most part. And we're going to start out with the Penfield Panthers and Coach Marty Martin. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Bill. Thank you for having me.
The Penfield Panthers were a young team at the varsity level, and they went through some up and down season that way. And but talking to Coach Hatton all season long, he talked about how there's some good things coming along the pipe and some young kids coming through the program, and that's your job to get them ready for the varsity. And let's talk about that group a little bit. And so talk about what kind of season you guys had. What was your record?
Well, we ended up 5-4. We had a group of kids that had only won 2 games their entire career, and they really developed as the year went on. We started 9 freshmen on offense, and we started 6 freshmen on defense. So we were happy. The kids were ecstatic, and we're building something here.
So you played mostly a JV schedule then?
Yeah, great question. We played a split schedule. We played 5 JV teams, and then we played 4 freshman teams.
Okay.
Yep.
So in that group, when you have that split group and you're trying to get playing time for everybody and also get people to improve throughout and get them ready for the varsity, what's the thinking like in terms of how you go along those lines?
Yeah, again, we had 36 kids on the team, so playing time was hard to get, but we put a lot of value on practice time. We put a lot of emphasis on earning your reps, and so we're a little unconventional in that aspect. The kids will take turns. They'll 2 reps, and then they'll come in for someone else, and so on and so forth. So we're trying to develop the kids that way, and then we really focused on trying to get into the games, and if we were in the game in the third quarter, we were going to try to win it. And if we were not, whether we were ahead or behind by quite a few points, then we really wanted to try to get kids with playing time. We had a number of kids that this was their first year of football, so playing time is very important to them.
And the system you're running, it's important philosophy in terms of similar to the varsity. Did you guys work hand in hand with the varsity coaches along those lines?
Yeah, it's interesting. We had such a split this year of kids with a lot of experience and kids with not very much experience. So I know last year, the year before, the teams worked together. This year we were separate. We were on the opposite ends of the field. It really allowed us to develop our freshmen who had a long way to go without slowing down our juniors and seniors and sophomores with a lot of experience.
Let's talk about some of those key guys that you like coming through here, and in terms of guys that kind of stepped up this year or maybe surprised. You had some kids that you knew all along from the start that were going to have some good years. Let's start with them first, and then who are those guys?
Yeah, so Peyton Merlington is a sophomore. Peyton's a really good athlete, probably the hardest worker in the program. He plays a lot of basketball. He had a tremendous year for us. Found out the value of wanting to block somebody, and when he did, he embraced it and did it really well. Isaiah Eakins Gray was our running back. Just to watch him develop as the season went on with his vision and his running style, we're really excited about what we might have with him. We had Alex Miller at quarterback, and he's just got that calm demeanor. He's always in control, and he really did a great job of leading our program. Those are three sophomores. At the freshman level, we had Jackson Hamilton. Jackson was an offensive lineman who did a really good job for us. He's physical. He loves to compete. He's big. He's quick. So that's something that we're looking forward to. We had Raynon Corlock, who was another freshman. It was hard to keep him off the field. He played running back, quarterback. He wanted to play linebacker. We ended up settling with him at the defensive line. He just has a great football knowledge and a great motor. So those are some of the guys that really stepped up. And then one of the things that we really had to work on, and if you talk to other coaches, they'll say the same thing all the time, is our kids didn't understand that they had to be tougher and more physical than anybody we played. Penfield being the smallest person or smallest team in the I-8 or smallest school, we found out really quickly that if you're not physical, if you're not tough, you're going to get rolled. So that was something that the kids embraced, and once we did, we went 4-1 down the stretch.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Isaiah played a little bit of the varsity there, and to have some kids that get some playing time that way. Talk about the thinking that went into there and why that was a positive thing.
Yeah, so we have the fifth quarter kids, right? And one of the things as a coach, you have a conflict. Do I pull these kids up and just let them stand on the sideline, or do I pull these kids up and possibly give them playing time? Isaiah is such a good athlete. He's a boxer in the offseason, and just trying to get him playing time on the varsity was not working out. I mean, he started the first game against Lakewood because of injuries, but then after that, he sat for 2 straight games. So we weren't developing him, and what he needed to work on was his vision. And as the season went on, you could just see his vision improve at the sub-varsity level. Yeah,
So the other thing to look at when we're talking about sub-varsity teams is where the strengths of them are. And you guys feel good about the size or the speed or one or the other right now?
It's funny that you asked that. We're not the biggest team. We're definitely not the fastest. We don't have a lot of speed. So thus, we had to make sure that we were more physical and tougher than other teams. What we do have is a bunch of smart kids who want to win. And they bought into what we were trying to sell them. And once they did, all the credits to them. They could have said, heck with you guys, it's going to be basketball wrestling season soon. But they bought into it. And just to see the growth and just to see the excitement and just to see the parents' reaction. The first game of the year, a parent made a comment that it was going to be a long year. And so we kind of held on to that. We used that as motivation. And it wasn't a long year. It was a year that we didn't want to end. So, but we have a bunch of smart kids. They're academically smart. They're good kids. And that's something that's really impressive about our kids at Penfield, too. They're very good kids.
Well, it sounds like we have a lot of good things going into the Penfield program moving forward, and the winning season is something to build on. And And those kids, I'm sure, are champing at the bit a little bit to get on the varsity level, have a good summer, and the summer is going to be important for the whole program to kind of move forward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This summer is very important. It's year 3 in the rebuild, so we've got to make some gains.
Well, we'll look forward to year 3 or going forward, and in terms of everyone all together, and see what Penfield does with that group, and see if this sub-varsity group takes the next step, which everyone hopes they do. So. All right, thanks a lot, Coach. We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning right here after this on WBCK 95.3 FM.
95.3 WBCK.
Hi, this is Brad Carpenter. Next week, Coach's Corner will be taking a one-day break. As a result, Bob Coward and myself will be filling in for 1 hour. We'll be talking gardening, taxes, and whatever else crosses our minds. So be sure to tune in next week at 9 a.m. for the Cereal City Circus, hosted by Bob Coward and myself. As a bonus, we'll be doing it again on November 30th. So that's the Cereal City Circus with me and Bob next Saturday at 9 a.m. And again on November 30th, right here on 95.3 WBCK.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
This is Bill Broderick back here on Coach's Corner. We're here with our next Coach of the Morning here. We're Coach Tom Reed, the St. Phil Fighting Tigers. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
In terms of the St. Phil, we talked all year long about how young the varsity team was and had a bunch of freshmen and sophomores up on that. So when we're talking about St. Phil and the sub-varsity program, we're talking about 8th grade football, and it is maybe more important than any of the programs to try to build up that program to get the feeding system into the St. Phil varsity team, because they have been troubling with numbers in the last several years. So talk about the growth of the 8th grade program, and talking to the coach, it sounds like you have some good numbers down there.
We did this year. It was a fantastic season. We ended up with 18 players, no injuries, knock on wood.
Yep.
And so, we're able to, in this next year that we're sending up the graduating class from 8th grade into the varsity program, we're sending 14 players.
Oh, okay.
So that's pretty exciting for us. We're excited about that. We have another big group coming up behind them, which we'll be able to cultivate and get those guys going. So that's always exciting. And then varsity this year, we were able to go and help them out with some planning, some strategic planning as they got ready for some of their opponents. Mm-hmm. And so that's also a good thing. It's a little bit different than some of the other programs here in Battle Creek where, 36 players or 48 players or
Right.
So our guys stepped up this year. They did an excellent job being able to go both ways, old Ironman football.
Sure.
And, some great support this year, as always, from, our AD, Vicky. She's, fantastic. You can't say enough about the GOAT. She transforms all sports. Right. So it's fun to have her around, and the guys get excited when they see her show up and think, oh, there's good news or bad news,
sure.
But it's going to get some news. So
that's right.
But that was great. This year we went 5-1.
Okay.
We had fantastic season. A lot of opponents that were extremely tough for us. We were able to overcome those challenges and score some points that were desperately needed. So.
Well, the number that pops out at me right away is that number 14 there, because a lot of the games that the varsity had this year, they had like 11 healthy bodies sometimes, and so to have 14 new players coming back up into the system, that's going to have to be huge for St. Phil. You guys, in terms of the next step here, is the retention part of that, and make sure that these kids are still interested in the varsity. Is that something that's part of the packaging in terms of post-season and the off-season kind of situation, making sure you're getting those in the ear of those kids to make sure they stay involved?
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, our varsity coaching staff does an excellent job, from everybody from Coach Schaub to Coach Downey and Coach Rabbit. They've been talking to all the kids. Coach Passetti went in last year to the junior highs and had conversations with the kids before school letting out, and that led to a great summer program. We we ended up with quite a few ready to go for camp, and conditioning and hitting the weight room. And so that always makes a huge difference when they see the active recruiting from the varsity level as well as our staff. So, and then they came into camp, and my defensive coach, Coach Underheil, and lineman coach, Coach Tyler, did a fantastic job cultivating those guys and the getting them to buy into the system that we have set up. And moving forward, we're looking forward to the new class coming in and making a name for themselves. But, it's been great to watch these guys for the last 3 years, the graduating class. All of a sudden, now they're ready to go. They got great football knowledge that will be expanded when they get to the varsity. So,
do you guys play the 8-player football down there, or do you play 11-player at 8th grade?
We're eight.
Okay, so that's great.
Football,
so they're used to that.
Right into the system.
Although when they were even younger, maybe in Rocket football, where they probably played 11-man, but they had to get acclimated to the 8-man football and keep that rolling. So let's talk about a couple of the kids that you like in terms of the 8th graders who we might see on the varsity next year.
Well, I think you're going to see some Zane Bailey. He's an excellent player. He plays linebacker for us. He can play anywhere on the offensive line. Great athlete, great hands, great feet, quick, just absolutely quick. You'll see Seth Halder did a great job running the ball for us. I'm excited for Jonas coming up. He played quarterback for us and did an excellent job. We've got 3 guys that really kind of anchored down. You've got Pashan Sang that just, we call him Posh, and he's just excellent character. Great group of kids all over. We had a great job with our secondary and defense. We had Weiss back there, and Ryder just did an excellent job. He really led the team. I got to tell you, when I say I'm sending up some quality kids, these young men are going to be ready to go. Okay. Their character and integrity is just, I'm more impressed than anything with that.
What are their strengths out of that group? Is it more size or speed, or do you have a little good combination?
I got a good combination.
Yeah.
We've got some Vaughn he's extremely fast, good sized kid, and then like I said, Zane Bailey, he's gonna be ready to go for the offensive line right away. We're sending up Gio. He's great. We cultivated him into a center, so that's next year you've got a senior center up there playing at varsity, and so we've got that replacement already to go for long snap and snapping and shotgun and everything that Coach Passetti's going to need. So that's been exciting. So.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of good things coming along the road for the St. Phil Fighting Tigers, and it's always good to hear that the numbers are going to be good, because that was always a big question mark coming into that first practice every year when I talked to Coach Passetti, and the first question I asked him how many kids he had, and it sounds like that number or that answer is going to be a little bit more positive going forward, and that's a tribute to the program that you guys are running, and I know that he's excited about that stuff. So appreciate you coming down this morning, and we'll be talking about St. Phil next year and that larger group next year, and playing some 8-player football, and some good things coming along.
Yeah, it'll be a fantastic year.
All right.
Super excited.
That's it for Fighting Tigers of St. Phil. We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK 95.3 FM after this.
95.3 WBCK.
Good morning. This is Brad Carpenter. Next week, Coach's Corner will be taking a one-day break. As a result, Bob Coward and myself will be filling in for 1 hour. We'll be talking gardening, taxes, or whatever else crosses our minds. So be sure to tune in and give us a call next week at 9 a.m. for the Cereal City Circus, hosted by Bob Coward and myself. As a bonus, we'll be doing it again on November 30th. That's the Cereal City Circus with me and Bob next Saturday at 9 a.m. and again on November 30th right here on 95.3 WBCK.
Coach's Corner on WBCK. Brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
This is Bill Broderick, the Battle Creek Inquirer, back here on Coach's Corner. We're back here with our next coach of the morning. We're here with Carl Schaefer of the Lakeview Spartans. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, morning. Thanks for having me.
Lakeview had a combination, kind of a hybrid sub-varsity team this year, a team that had freshmen and sophomores both on it. And we were talking that you split your schedule a little bit. You're playing some freshman teams and some other JV schools. And was that a kind of a matter of where you could find some opponents, or how that kind of came about?
More or less, we were just we didn't know if we could put two teams together. We were lacking some linemen, and putting enough bodies out there to safely do two teams was tough for us this year. So we started out the first 3 weeks, we did all one team. And we had about 45 kids, so it was a lot. And then throughout the year, we would try to get a freshman game and a JV game throughout the year just to get those kids more playing time.
That's a big number, and I know talking to Coach Vernon in the preseason, that's what he was most excited about, that number growing through the whole entire program. And a lot of those kids are in the sub-varsity level things. So that 45. That's a huge step up for Lakeview, and talk about the positivity of that and what that's going to mean going forward.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are really excited for the future. We had probably 30 freshmen, and we were mostly a freshman team. I mean, we had some sophomores sprinkled in there, but the varsity had to take a lot of sophomores this year just because of a lower senior class, right? We didn't have a lot of numbers in our senior class again this year, and so they had to take some sophomores up. And luckily, thankfully for us, we had the numbers at the freshman level to really have a decent season with these kids and teach them quite a bit. So we are looking forward to next year. Like I said, if we can get all those kids to come back out, we're going to try to run it back with them with a true 10th grade JV team, and then hopefully have a freshman team as well. So we'll have all three levels next year. That's the hope.
So looking in the 8th grade class seems to have enough numbers to come up and have a freshman team.
Yeah, we think so. We think we can get 25 kids at least out of that group and let them kind of stick together and do their thing, and then hopefully have a 10th grade team
awesome.
as well.
That's the goal, I'm sure.
Yes.
For everybody. I know it's complicated in terms of who you're playing and what teams we're playing, but do you have a record for this year on how the things kind of went?
So we struggled a little bit. We were 1-8. First half of the year was tough for us. It was a lot of learning. Like I say, we were freshman heavy, so it was a lot of learning our system. And like I say, this is only year 2 for these kids in our system with Coach Vernon's system. Yep. And so again, it's a lot of learning. And by the end of the season, we were really much improved. The kids knew what they were doing, knew where they're supposed to go. Especially those freshmen. We had, like I say, probably 9 or 10 of those kids starting both sides of the ball. We only had a couple sophomores starting. So that was awesome. I mean, that was really good for us.
And linemen are the thing that you're trying to build and trying to find some bodies there to move forward. Was that the emphasis a little bit this year to try to build that up?
Yeah. Kids like Ryder, Strunk are great freshman linemen. We got actually a couple transfers from Penfield. I was talking to the Penfield coach, and he knew a couple of those kids. Darius Gordon and Julian Fowler came over and were really good linemen for us. So that was some positive things. And these kids are all freshmen, so they're all coming back next year. So we should have that set up for us next year. We should be really good. And then if we, like I say, just like every other lower level program, if we can get them in the weight room in the off season, if we can get them playing other sports in the off season, that's just going to help us next summer.
In terms of the kind of the kids that maybe can make the most impact on the varsity level next year that people might be seeing on Friday nights, you have a couple names there that you're excited about?
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously the sophomores that have been up all year, like the Isaiah Jacksons and those types, obviously are going to be really good. And then, the sophomores that I had, this Julian Fowler should hopefully help them. There's a couple others that may get pulled up. But Nazir Merriweather was a really good running back for us, did a really good job. We got a Braden Campbell that was a linebacker for us. That's probably our hardest worker, team leader. team captain all year, and if he can develop in the off season, he might be a varsity kid to look out for next year as a sophomore. So there's a handful there, and you just don't know with freshmen who's going to develop and who's, we got some kids with size. We have some kids with some strength. Obviously at the varsity level, we got to get some speed, right? Okay. That's been our issue. If we can develop some speed in the off season and get some of these bigger kids to have some speed, kids like Adam Talbot, you watch out for him. Was our quarterback, and he's really good. So there's numbers. We got kids. And like I say, if we can just develop them, and that's our big focus right now is developing the lower levels, getting them on board, getting them bought into what we're trying to do. And they are. These freshmen have been in the weight room since they were in 8th grade, and, we're really looking forward to it. We're excited about next year.
Sounds like there's a lot to be excited about, especially the numbers, which I know that's the biggest thing that everyone kind of wants when you look at those. And we've had several teams in the city here that got the seniors and the small senior class. Lakeview had that problem. Valkyrie Central has that situation, and you got to get these kids to buy in and then stay in, right? Yeah. That's the mantra, I'm sure. And with you guys being just in the second year of Coach Vernon's program, that's what you guys are kind of building from the ground up, and it sounds like everything's going in the right direction.
Yeah, we're excited. I think Coach Vernon's doing everything the right way. He's getting kids in the weight room. He is doing he's putting in the time, he's putting in the effort. He knows what he's doing. As far as coaches, he's getting a great staff together. We're excited. The kids, I think, are really excited about what we're doing here. That shows with the numbers. I think that's the biggest thing is the kids are actually coming out and staying out. And so if we can just continue that trend, we will get better. We are going to definitely be better next year. Obviously, we're at the 3 levels we should have, and then we'll be able to develop then throughout the year. We're not switching back and forth. Are we doing a freshman game? Are we doing a JV game? Are we doing 2 games? Yep. That type of thing was tough for some of those kids down there because they didn't know. Am I doing a JV game? Am I doing a freshman game? And so to have that consistency next year, I think is going to be huge for us.
Well, we'll look forward to that. Lakeview Spartans going in the right direction. Nice numbers come in, and we'll be able to see that come to fruition at the varsity level here next year or in a couple of years. So we appreciate you coming down here, Coach.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you.
We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK 95.3 FM.
95.3 WBCK.
This is Brad Carpenter. Next Saturday, Coach's Corner will be taking a one-day break. As a result, Bob Coward and myself will be filling in, that is, for 1 hour. We'll be talking gardening, taxes, and whatever else crosses our minds. So be sure to tune in and give us a call next week at 9 a.m. for the Cereal City Circus, hosted by Bob Coward and myself. As a bonus, we'll be doing it again on November 30th. That's the Cereal City Circus with me and Bob next Saturday at 9 a.m. And again on November 30th right here on 95.3 WBCK.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Inquirer back here with our Coach of the Morning here with Coach Larry Quick of the Harbor Creek Beavers. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Bill.
We have one of the more successful sub-varsity programs in the city in Harbor Creek, and you guys had another good year. What was your record this year?
We were 8-1 this year.
Harbor Creek has been rolling last several years with some winning records at the sub-varsity level, and we see that come to fruition with the varsity team having a standout year this year. Talk about the importance of playing freshman and JV games and winning games at that level, and what that kind of equates to when they get to the varsity level.
What we try to do is stress the importance of try to develop a winning attitude in the kids, and it takes over when they go to varsity. We started out the season, we only had 20 sophomores that come out for football. And we made a decision in the off season, talking to other coaches and such, that there was going to be some juniors come down and play JV football because we had so many juniors and seniors. And once we had the juniors established in the right positions and such, the season began to roll. We struggled the first game, and after that, we never really had a close game the rest of the way through.
And you guys just played the JV, or did you play a freshman and JV season this year? Do you know?
No, we just played all JV teams.
Okay. And talk about that group in terms of what they maybe can give the varsity here going forward. You like what they have in terms of size or speed, or what are the strengths of that?
We like everything they got. Size, speed, work ethic, toughness. We always stress that no one's bigger than a program. And one of the other things that we always stress is we always give 100% effort. We go 100 miles an hour all the time, whether it's in the first quarter or it's in the fourth quarter. These guys all bought in, and I know that we're sending a group of kids to Coach Converse and the varsity staff next year that's can't wait to play varsity football and can't wait to keep the winning tradition going here.
The one thing about the Harbor Creek program is playing time can be hard to come by when you get to the varsity level, but you might have some kids that might be able to break into that a little bit. Do you have some kids that you're excited about in terms of we might be able to see on Friday nights next year already?
Yeah, we're excited about all the juniors that came down and played. I think we had a couple kids come down and play at a quarter at a time, and then we had some juniors that stayed with us the whole entire time. They're excited. I know being a junior on JV wasn't really what they wanted to do, but once they bought in and saw the advantages and everything it's going to do for them, and we're excited to see them at the varsity level next year. The sophomores as well, they'll be ready.
Do you have a group of kids, or in terms of positions that you like that feel like they can make get some playing time next year? More on the offensive line or in the backfield, or where do you see that a little bit?
Well, it's funny you said the offensive line. That's something we talk about all the time.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because you lose a ton of offensive line at the varsity level.
Yeah, we lose the whole thing. Yeah. And a lot of those offensive linemen this year, with the exception of a couple, were all juniors. And we feel it's to their advantage to play at the JV level to get reps than it would be just to maybe get into the fourth quarter at the varsity level. And the way we ran practice this year with the JV and varsity practicing together and then separating, like varsity would be on defense first, JV would be on offense first, and then you'd switch. You were able to kind of get guys, if they were just offensive players, get 2 rounds of practice at offense. It sounds complicated. It was complicated. It was hard. I know it was a hard thing for me to get adjusted to, and I think it was a hard thing for the kids too, and I think maybe that's why the first couple weeks of the season maybe didn't roll as smoothly as the rest of it did. But as far as that offensive line, we're sending a group of kids to the varsity that they're going to be ready to play varsity football on the O-line and D-line.
That's going to be big because we did stories late in the season about all the seniors on the varsity team last year. So there's going to be a lot of holes to fill, and there's going to be some juniors that played behind them on the varsity level. But like you said, some sophomores and juniors are going to be ready to be moved up. Are you excited about the program going forward? There's not going to be any dip, but that's what Harbor Creek Beavers fans want to hear about, right?
Yeah, you think about all the kids, and the Enquirer did a story about all the kids in the youth program, and we have almost 100 kids in freshman varsity and JV level. And actually, Coach Converse and I were talking earlier, it's just all the kids in our entire school that play sports. There was a lot of, just for instance, soccer. Our JV soccer team didn't get a lot of games because other schools don't even have JV soccer. And I guess we're blessed to work at a place where athletics is emphasized, it's important, and kids want to be involved, and not just in football, and track too, but in all the other sports. It's good to see.
That's right. The state championship track team, right?
And we like winning. And so winning's fun, and we're just going to keep on winning. That's our goal. That's what we want to do. Kids buy in. Kids want to be a part of that. And it's just a great thing to be a part of.
All right, we'll make that the headline. We like winning. That's a good thing to be right there. All right, I appreciate you coming down here, Coach Quick. We'll talk a little bit more about the excitement for Harbor Creek Beavers next fall, and we'll see those young kids come up and see what that all means. Thanks a lot for coming down here. We'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning here on WBCK 95.3 FM after this.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Yep.
95.3 WBCK.
This is Brad Carpenter, and this coming Saturday, Coach's Corner will be taking a one-day break. As a result, Bob Coward and myself will be filling in for 1 hour. We'll be talking gardening, taxes, and whatever else crosses our minds. So be sure to tune in and give us a call next week at 9 a.m. for the Cereal City Circus hosted by Bob Coward and myself. As a bonus, we'll be doing it again on November 30th. That's the Cereal City Circus with me and Bob next Saturday at 9 a.m. and again on November 30th right here on 95.3 WBCK.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Enquirer, back here with our next coach of the morning here. We're here with Harper Creek coach Mason Converse. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Bill.
Coach Converse and the Harper Creek Beavers were the Lone City team to make the playoffs. So we talked to Coach Converse last week about that playoff game, and then the rest of the city varsity coaches said all their thank yous last week, and all the important people in the program that keep a program running. And so we brought Coach Converse back to do the same thing this week. And Harper Creek's a big program, a lot of people, a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of people to thank to make sure that it keeps rolling. Is that right?
Yeah, it's become a huge program with a lot help of a lot of people, and people say, or there is a saying, it's a cliche that it takes a village, and it really has taken a village, and there's so many people that have bought in and want to do things for Harper Creek football, and we could just start with our freshman staff, and we're blessed with a big staff of coaches, and it's not always that people are knocking down our door to be coaches either. Actually, our freshman head coach, TJ Simpson, wasn't looking for the job, and I had to talk him into it, so we didn't get anybody to apply for that spot. But through conversations, he agreed to do it and did an outstanding job this year in his staff. So that's TJ Simpson, then Andy Fry, Brody McCurchie, who's a recent graduate, just does a great job with the kids, and Matt Brownell. And then you just talked to Coach Quick. We've got our JV staff of Coach Quick and Bill Jackson, John Bolton, Brian Eiler, and Jake Abbott. And really, I say JV staff, but we all coached together this year. We changed how we did things. Really borrowed a model from other coaches that we've seen and tried to figure out how can we do the best, because with kids moving back and forth with the fifth quarter rule, you don't want to lose terminology. You want to have things be seamless for the kids. So we did a lot of things together this year just to help with the transition from freshman to JV to varsity, and back and forth like that. So we all coached together on a daily basis. Our coaches were more position specific and specialists either on offense or defense, and they bought in to that, and it was I think it made them better coaches, and it helped us coach our players better too. And then the varsity staff, or the rest of the staff, as Derek Stansbury was our defensive coordinator, Jeremy Johnson was our defensive line coach, Ken Horton was the offensive coordinator, Jeremy Fuller and Robbie Crockett were both in their second year with us, and then Matt Bilger coaches our offensive line. And to have Jeremy Fuller and Robbie Crockett, to go back to those two guys that coaching our quarterbacks and running backs, they helped take those two positions to another level too. In fact, Coach Crockett, something he's really proud of, and I am as well, as we didn't have a single fumble by our starting running backs all year long, and that's to not give teams extra possessions and to still be able to score like we were. That puts a lot of pressure on other teams, and that's one of the big reasons why we were as successful as we were this year.
Yeah. A huge coaching staff for you guys, and in terms of all those moving parts, and that's a big plus that you can get that many people to spend time with the program, and that's what it really is. It's spending some time, and the people outside, the people that you don't necessarily see on the sidelines. That's the kind of group that keeps this Harper Creek program running too. Is that right?
Sure. So we have big numbers. Our numbers have been growing every year. I know you just ran an article recently about our junior football program, and so Corey Ledbetter and our junior football board, we work really well together, and a lot of times you'll hear coaches talk about frustrated about their junior football or Rocket football programs, and that's not the case here. We work really well together, and that doesn't mean we always agree on everything. I mean, I don't think any good program has people that agree all the time, but we all agree that we want what's best for Harper Creek football, and we work together really well, and it's shown with our numbers growing the way they are, because kids are having a good experience for the most part and wanting to play football for Harper Creek. And then our administration with Melissa Fiesel, our AD, Rob Ridgway, our superintendent, Ed Greenman, and Joey Rishis, who are the principal and assistant principal at the high school. But I mean, one of the big things we talk about every year is football is a long season, but it's short in terms of number of games, and you only get 9 games, and the kids have to play. And with so many schools struggling to have 3 levels of football anymore, we have 3 levels, but sometimes there's teams they don't have 3 levels that we're playing, and it's really important that you find games so that they don't have to sit out that week, or they don't have to combine. We don't have to combine our JV and freshman teams, because then nobody gets enough reps. And we were really fortunate, and we're fortunate every year. Our athletic office finds games for our kids to play. I mean, there was one week we were JV were in Matawan and freshmen were in Jackson, and one other week our JV was at St. Joe and our freshmen were playing Kenowa Hills. I mean, we'll travel wherever we need to play because it's really important that the kids play, and that makes a big difference too. When you don't have to practice for 2 straight weeks, and it gets monotonous and gets boring, and the kids start to tune out a little bit. So that's extremely important. And then another group that doesn't get talked about enough is really like our parent group, and that was run by Christina Wirt, Patty and Matt Winsauer, my wife Courtney Converse. They organized the team dinners or weekly team dinners, and then Doug Hayward organized and gave our talks each week, and those guys do a really nice job. And those are things that, again, we don't have to worry about as coaches. We talk in the early season about when we want to do it, how we want to do it. We made a commitment to go from Thursdays to Tuesdays so we could spend more time together and really just break bread together as a family. And they bought into that as well, too, and they were able to get sponsors for our team dinners and have talks that were meaningful to the boys, too. So that's really important. Some things that, like you said, happen behind the scenes that don't get talked about enough.
Yeah, it sounds like those team dinners have been going on for a long time at Harbor Creek, and that's kind of something special I know that the program is kind of proud of in terms of getting those kids together and getting sponsors to help with that. And that just talks about the overall community at Harbor Creek and all the people that are kind of backing the Beavers right now. Right?
When I first got the job 7 years ago, one of the parents, and at that point in time, it was a parent of a junior football player, and now he's playing for us on the varsity team. He said the biggest events of the week are Friday night football and then junior football practice. And he was right. I mean, if you look out across the grass fields on the Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesday nights, or Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights, they practice 3 nights a week. I mean, it is packed, and people are excited about football at Harper Creek. And then Friday night, we've got a great fan base and people who really care, and it shows with people wanting to support us as well.
So you can't have a successful season like you guys had without all those moving parts. And just one more chance to say, to talk about your season that you had, and now that's kind of, you had a week to think about it. What do you think about that right now?
Well, we didn't. I mean, obviously, we stubbed our toe in the playoffs and didn't make it as far as we wanted to make it. But that doesn't take away from the tremendous season we have. To be 8-2 and to be outright league champions, our team, our boys can always call themselves champions, and they put in the work. And that's what happens in life. Sometimes you set your goals high and you don't quite get there, but that doesn't mean you didn't do great things, and it doesn't mean you're not a great person. And I'm very proud of the fact that not only are these guys great football players on the field, but they're better human beings, and they're going to be great men of character someday in this community.
Well, congrats again to the Harbor Creek Beavers on the season that they had, and thanks a lot, Coach, for coming down all season long on these Saturday mornings talking about Harbor Creek.
And thanks for all you do to cover football in this area, Bill.
All right, thanks. Like we said before, this is the last football Coach's Corner of the season. We'll be off next week, and then we'll be starting basketball.